Hey guys, YouTuber Printer here. Okay, and here we go. Now, as I said I was going to do in my last video, now I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the Saturday night's main event show that I attended on Saturday. So, yeah, of course, this was the Saturday night's main event that was held here in Phoenix. It's on Saturday, yeah, and yeah, yeah, and yeah, this was like the very first Saturday night's main event show that I have ever attended. Yeah, of course, like Saturday night's main event, like its original run was like in the 1980s, and I think it even did like a run into the 90s, like the very early 90s. Yeah, so Saturday night's main event's original run was like before I was even born. So yeah, so obviously, of course, I never did like attend like Saturday night's main event during its original run. Yeah, and of course, like even like when WWE revived it from like '06 through '08, like they did have like the like a few Saturday Night's main event shows those between '06 and '08. Yeah, but yeah, none of those like were in Phoenix, so obviously I didn't get to go to any of those shows. Yeah, but yeah, now that like WWE has now like revived Saturday Night's main event again, though they're only house shows, they're not actually televised now. Yeah, yeah, and one came here, so yeah, so obviously like I wanted to attend it. Yeah, and I was able to like attend the show, and yeah, man, this show was like a pretty nice show to see. Yeah, so so this was my view of the show last night. Yeah, I'll trying to like get this to where you guys can kind of like see it better. Yeah, there you go. Like you can kind of like see right there. Like yeah, there you go. Yeah, there's the ring right there. And so that was my view of the event on Saturday. Yeah, and I did have a pretty good time at this event. Yeah, this was kind of like being with some family. I went with like my sister, her boyfriend, and their three boys. So yeah, so it was kind of nice to go to this event with family. Like usually I do go to with family. Like every time I go to a WWE show, I always like bring at least someone with me. Like back when I like went to SmackDown in July, I went with like my sister's boyfriend and two of his boys. Yeah, yeah, and then with here, like I did go like with like basically like the entire family, like with my sister, her boyfriend, and their three kids. Yeah, so it was kind of nice to go to this show like with like a full on family. Yeah, and that really like is real like how this was. The show really did kind of like feel me. It kind of really did feel like a kind of like a family night out. Yeah, and as far as that goes, like yeah, this really was like a really nice to attend. And yeah, man, I really did have a good time at this event. Yeah, so like I said, like this of course like was not televised like Saturday Night's main event or just like basically just live events now that are just like house shows. Yeah, but yeah, I did like by myself like really like enjoying this show. Yeah. Yeah, so this Saturday night's main event, like this was really like for the SmackDown roster. Yeah, there was like another Saturday night's main event this past Saturday also, like somewhere else, which was like I guess for the Raw roster. Yeah, so the event I attended last night was for the SmackDown roster. Yeah, and like I said, this was like a nice show to see. Like, I'm just really glad that I did get to go to Saturday Night's Main Event. I'm glad that they revived it, so I do it can at least like have the experience of going to Saturday Night's Main Event, even if it really is just like the house shows and not like actual like televised events. Yeah, so yeah, it was basically like the two WWE live events that I attended before. Like, if you search my videos, like if you like just type in WWE live, if you search WWE live for my videos, like I did like have attended a couple of those. I attended one in 2014 and one in 2015. Yeah, and this was really just another one of those shows, just with the Saturday Night's Main Event name. Yeah, and like I said, overall, I did did have a good time at this event. Yeah. So, uh, at the show on Saturday, there was like a total of I think 7 matches. Yeah, you had matches like uh, Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin, the Hit Row versus Maximum Male Models, Shayna Baszler versus Raquel Rodriguez, uh, Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross in a street fight, uh, Rich Holland and Butch against Luba Kaiser and Giovanni Vinci, uh, Sonya Deville versus Liv Morgan, and in the main event it was Sami Zayn and the Usos versus the New Day and Braun Strowman. Yeah, so there was a total of 7 matches at the event. Yeah, and yeah, and overall, like, I did find myself really like not really getting bored with any of the matches. I did like find myself really like overall enjoying them. Like some matches really like were like all that great, but they weren't like entirely boring. Like they're like just yeah, it kind of is really just as that feel like being there live. Like you really do, or at least like get like the more like the enjoyment factor out of them than if you're just like watching them on TV. Yeah, and that really is like how really basically like these matches did come off on Saturday. So yeah, so really just I really didn't really like find myself really being bored at all with any of the matches is on Saturday. Like I did find myself at least like like watching them and really like really just like really getting like the enjoyment out of them. So yeah, so this show really did really give me like that real feeling throughout the entire thing. Yeah. So yeah, so I won't no not really gonna like go through like all of the matches, but I'll just go like through like some of the highlights of the matches and just talk about like a few of the matches that really like were like some of my favorites on Saturday. So yeah, so Madcap Moss versus Happy Corbin opened the show. Yeah, and this match all I did find myself like really getting into. Yeah, like just the crowd was really just like heckling Happy Corbin for basically the entire thing. Like I remember like there were these guys behind me and my family that were just like continuously just like shouting bum ass Corbin. Yeah, like they were just chanting that throughout basically the entire match. Yeah, so the crowd was really giving like Happy Corbin just a ton of crap. Yeah, yeah, and it was like an enjoyable back and forth match, and then Madcap Moss got the win. Yeah, yeah, and then then like during this event, like there were a couple of times where the superstars were really just like taking shots at the Phoenix Suns, like after like the Maximum Male Models came out to the ring, like they were cutting up promos, and then they like actually like took a shot at the Phoenix Suns, saying like waiting for the Phoenix Suns to win a championship. Yeah, so yeah, and then yeah, and even like during the well yeah, originally like with the Shayna Baszler and Raquel Rodriguez match, it was originally supposed to be Natalia competing, but yeah, Natalia refused to compete in Phoenix, and she took a shot at the Phoenix Suns too. Yeah, so just screw you guys. Well, yeah. And then then I think probably like the best match of the show was the street fight between Drew McIntyre and Karrion Kross. Yeah, it was just like originally announced as just like a normal match, but then when Drew McIntyre came out, like he was just saying how this was made into a street fight. Yeah, and in this match, like there was like a bunch of weapon use. Like Drew McIntyre like used the steel steps a couple of points in this match. Yeah. There was this one point in the match when like Karrion Kross actually like got a kendo stick, but yeah, once he like was holding the kendo stick in his hand, he just dropped it. So yeah, so just like, what was even the point of him even getting a kendo stick if he wasn't even going to use it? Yeah. Then when there was like a steel chair used in the match, and yeah, some like other weapons in the match too. Yeah, and but then yeah, and Drew McIntyre was able to get the win. So yeah, so that was a really like very good match, and yeah, I think that was probably the best match of the show. Yeah. Then you had Sonya Deville versus Liv Morgan. Yeah, of course, like that's the like a rivalry going on SmackDown right now. Yeah, and Liv Morgan basically really did make a pretty quick work of Sonya Deville and beat her. Then just after Liv Morgan won, she was just like celebrating for like what seemed like forever. She was just like running around like the outside of the ring and just like up the aisle, just like all around the crowd. Yeah, she was just like running around and celebrating her victory forever. Yeah, yeah. Then in the main event we had Sami Zayn and the Usos versus the New Day and Braun Strowman. Yeah. So it was pretty awesome to see Braun Strowman again. I am glad that Triple H has been able to bring him back. Like Triple H has really been bringing back like several guys to WWE. Like he's brought back a Wade Barrett, a Braun Strowman. Of course, like Bray Wyatt did return last Saturday at Extreme Rules. Yeah. And Triple H has been just like bringing back basically like a lot of guys ever since like Triple H has taken over the company since Vince McMahon's retirement. So really like it's good that Triple H is really like making amends with all these guys that really did like leave because they didn't like Vince. Yeah, but yeah, seeing Braun Strowman last night was pretty cool. Like well, my sister's boyfriend's boys were like going crazy for Braun Strowman. They were just like jumping up all over the place when Braun Strowman came out. Yeah, and it was pretty good. It was of course at first like how Sami Zayn and the Usos were really just trying to keep Braun Strowman out of the match and attack the New Day. Yeah, then eventually, yeah, Braun Strowman did get tagged into the match and like laid out the Usos and Sami Zayn. Then like Sami Zayn tried to like use a Roman Reigns Superman punch a couple of times on Braun Strowman. Usos also were like double teaming a Braun Strowman trying to get the win, but then Braun Strowman then was able to fight them all off and then take out a Sami Zayn pin him, and then that gave Usos and I mean not the Usos, the New Day and Braun Strowman the win. So I guess like it did like end on a good note like that with Braun Strowman and the New Day winning. Like it did send the crowd home happy. Yeah, and it was interesting because like at this event, like basically like all of the faces in the matches won. So I found that kind of interesting that like all the faces won. Like you really don't really see that a whole lot where like all the faces or all the heels win throughout the entire show. I mean, there have been times where like a lot of the faces or a lot of the heels do win in most of the matches. But yeah, it is like really rare where like all the faces or all the heels win all of the matches on the show. Yeah, and it did happen here. So that was like kind of interesting that they did that on the show. Yeah. So overall, I mean, with the show, I mean, it really does come down to like the fun factor and just the fact that it really did feel like just like a family event for me since I did go with like members of my family. So it really does like have that feel for me. That really does like did give me like a lot of enjoyment and of the show. It really just did feel like a family night out for me. So with that factor and even the fact that like the matches really just were really enjoyable throughout the night. Like there wasn't really anything on and during this event that I really was just like bored with. Like why is this here? And just come on, just end this already. There was never really anything like that on the show. So yeah, so well yeah. So with that, I would definitely say that I really did like really have a good time with the show, and I really did enjoy it. Yeah. So overall, I do give Saturday Night's Main Event on Saturday a thumbs up. I am glad that I did go to the show, and I really am just glad that I did get the experience of actually going to Saturday Night's Main Event. Yeah. So yeah. So with them being house shows right now, I mean, it really does make you wonder. Like, at some point, are they actually really going to put this like? Is this actually going to air on TV? Like, or is this actually going to become a televised event again, or are they going to like put it on Peacock for the WWE network or something? Like, I guess just we'll have to wait and see in the future if like Saturday Night's Main Event does become like a televised event again. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, but I definitely did have a good time at the show, and I do give it overall a thumbs up. All right. So yeah, so those are my thoughts on the Saturday Night's Main Event and show that I attended on Saturday. And so yeah, I hope you guys did enjoy what I had to say about it. Yeah, and if you have an opportunity to go to Saturday Night's Main Event, like if it does come to your town, I do definitely recommend getting tickets and just going to these events so you can at least get the experience of going, because yeah, I get the feeling there's like a lot of like younger fans that weren't even around during Saturday Night's Main Event's original run in the 80s and early 90s. Yeah, and you now do at least like have the opportunity to actually get the experience of going to Saturday Night's Main Event. So yeah, so I definitely do say like go to Saturday Night's Main Event if you can to actually get that experience. So yeah, all right, so yeah, but those are my thoughts on the Saturday Night's Main Event show this past Saturday. So I hope you guys did enjoy what I had to say about it. Yeah, but before I actually do end this video, now I told you guys before how like I do have something planned this year in honor of Halloween. So yeah, so before I actually do end this video, I'll now like announce what my plans are this year in honor of Halloween. Yeah. So yeah, so we're coming up on Halloween in a couple of weeks. Like starting tomorrow, like we're like in the 13 days from Halloween. So yeah, so it's now coming to the 13 days of Halloween. Yeah, and that's usually like what I've been doing. Like I've always like done my reviews like 13 days before Halloween. I've started them, and that would be like 13 days of Halloween. Yeah. So yeah, so I'm gonna do that again this year. I'm gonna have the 13 days of Halloween this year again. Yeah. And what am I gonna be doing this year for Halloween? Well, yeah. So usually, like a lot of times, like when I've done like reviews like during Halloween time, like a lot of times I've like reviewed like horror movies. I've talked about like a lot of horror movies. Like I review, I've talked about like the Nightmare on Elm Street series, the Friday the 13th series, the Halloween series. I've even like gone through like a lot of the classic monster movies from the 30s and 40s. So yeah, so I have done like a lot of just classic horror movies these during Halloween time. Yeah, but yeah, there are still like quite a few popular horror movies that I haven't n- uh, talked about. So yeah, so this year for Halloween, that's really like what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be going through like other like very popular horror movies that I haven't touched on yet. So yeah, so yeah, because yeah, there have been like a lot of like very popular classic horror movies over the years. Yep, and I have talked about some, but there's still some that I'm yet to get to. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing this year in honor of Halloween. I'm just going to be going through like some other popular horror movies that I haven't touched on yet. So yeah, so the horror movies I'm going to be like talking about this year in honor of Halloween, they really are going to be like a lot of like the classic horror movies that are really like during like from like the 60s through the 80s, because yeah, there were of course like a lot of very popular horror movies throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing this year. I'm going to be talking about like a lot of the classic horror movies that I haven't talked about yet from that time span. So yeah, so I'll be talking about movies such as like Rosemary's Baby, The Omen, Psycho, uh, Carrie, The Exorcist, and other films. So that's what I'm going to be doing this year for Halloween. I'm going to be like just going through like some other like very popular horror films from like throughout the 1960s, 70s, and 80s that I haven't talked about yet, and I'll be going through those in it was this year through Halloween. Yeah, and I also did say like I would also be giving my thoughts on the new Halloween movie this year for during Halloween time also. Halloween Ends. I haven't actually seen it yet, but yeah, like I said last year when I said I was gonna talk about Halloween Kills, like I'm gonna be waiting until it gets a little bit closer to Halloween to actually watch that movie, and I will give my thoughts on that movie. So I'll also be giving my thoughts on Halloween Ends, like during these reviews as well. So that's gonna be coming up during these reviews also. So stay tuned for that as well. But yeah, but that's what I'm going to be doing this year for Halloween. I'll just be talking about like other popular horror films I haven't talked about yet. So yeah, so stay tuned for those coming up of all throughout Halloween. All right. So yeah, so those are my plans for Halloween. So stay tuned for that coming up. All right. But yeah, so that does it for this video. So those are my thoughts on Saturday Night's Main Event and my plans this year for Halloween. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy this video and stay tuned for these classic horror movie reviews coming all through Halloween. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.